we are back with another episode of the Watch and Cut channel gear review. Yeah, we're gonna add another segment to the channel, guys. So we're gonna do an unboxing today. Oh, let me get comfortable here. We're gonna do an unboxing today, very informal. It's something I thought about doing with my channel for a while. I kind of avoided it because of the stigma on YouTube and firearms. But I decided to do the plunge. So here it is. So we're going to start adding a little bit of gun content to the channel. And this kind of all came about because of this piece right here. So this is a weapon light. This is the GL3 from Rovivon. And they are a flashlight maker, and they do weapon lights and other little accessories and keychains, little blades and things like that. And they reached out to me. They said, hey, we want to send you a flashlight to review. We like your channel, etc. via email. And I said, you know, funny thing is I already own that flashlight. So why don't you go ahead and send me a weapon light, since I knew I was actually acquiring a new gun for the gun collection. So I don't have a huge gun collection. I've got this one, and I also have another one, and I have a 1911, and I have a Mini 14. So I'm doing kind of like builds on all these things. I've actually already built the other Glock. It's a Glock 17. But recently I thought I'd do like a concealed carry kind of build for myself in case I wanted to do that. So I live in California, so that means I would go out and get a CCW if I were to carry. Please check all your local state laws and abide by all of them, please. As that is what my channel is all about. I am not legal advice. I don't know nothing about that. You need to research yourself, okay? So I'm just going to kind of show this new piece to the collection. Yep, it's a Glock. And for those of you who have never unboxed a Glock before, here is exactly what you get when you buy yourself a Glock. Now, this one is a Glock 19. Full disclosure, I already took this thing shooting once, so it's got a bit of carbon on the tip and stuff. I haven't I cleaned out the innards, but I haven't really done much else. So here it is. This is what you get when you buy yourself a Glock 17 out in the state of California. You're always going to have a lock, so you can lock this thing through when you're traveling around. That's just one of our laws. It also comes with a speed loader. So the way this thing works, here's a magazine. The California 10-rounder special.
It never ends, this shit.
You know? Yeah, I don't need to hear the comments, guys. I already know. And, you know, there's no disagreements there, but, you know, it is what it is. So you can actually press this thing down and feed the rounds without destroying your fingers. Now you'll see, like, otherwise, this is the other option. You're using your thumb to kind of like push them in and whatnot. So this is a speed loader. Pretty cool little apparatus. I actually have an aftermarket one. I think it's La Blula, if I remember right. I'll show that stuff off too. But yeah, so this is the factory Glock speed loader. I don't think my 17 came with one. Maybe it did. I don't know. I don't remember. But to be very specific, this is a Glock 19 Gen 3. Glock is now on to Gen 5, but here in California, you know, there's a roster thing.
A stupid piece of shit.
And so the Gen 3 are still available brand new in the box. Now, I saw they were having a sale and at Turner's on OD green ones. That was kind of enticing. But I honestly went in there to buy a SIG. I went in there to buy a nicer, more full frame, more expensive, you know, like, I actually went to Turner's and I held so many different guns, the smaller variety, the Smith & Wesson MMP 2.0. I tried a few SIGs, the P365. I even kind of like was digging the the P320, but I just came back to what I know because this is what I like and this is what I know. And a Glock is just a faithful gun. It's very simple. It's easy to take apart. It's just good old reliable. Now my dad, who's a former foreign, yeah, he's a French Foreign Legion Special Forces paratrooper guy. He hates Glocks. He never had a good experience with them. He said they jammed all the time and this and that, but I don't know. I've never had that experience myself with these. I think they're phenomenal. As a matter of fact, you know, you can look them up. How many of these things exist in law enforcement and military? It's absolutely unbelievable numbers. And there's a lot of great reasons why I think this gun is awesome. You know, just to be a cheapskate, I mean, Glocks are cheap, right? This on sale was, well, here, let's clear it. We've got nothing here, nothing here. I actually already cleared this thing earlier, but let's do that on camera too, because it's good practice, right? But yeah, this thing has a great price, $569. Wow, plus tax. Now, with that, you know, comparing to like a SIG, where you're going to be more probably around like, you know, somewhere around like the $1,000+ range on a lot of the nicer models. You know, this one will come with a rail. It's a polymer gun, so it's lightweight. That does kind of change the overall dynamics of the way this gun shoots compared to like a metal full frame gun. So when you're shooting like more of a metal full frame gun, you got more weight on the bottom, and it just gives the recoil mechanism and everything just a lot more of a balance. You take that all away when you're running a polymer frame. So these Striker Fire polymer frame guns are a bit of a different animal to shoot. But when you start really understanding the way they're built, you can even see like the upper padways here. Like a lot of times people don't realize, you know, these guns are designed to be gripped a certain way, you know, and if you have a great grip, these guns are so accurate. I haven't shot a Glock with factory sights in probably, I don't know, it's got to be at least like 4 or 5 years. And when I took this thing to the range, I was, I'm sad to admit it, really impressed at even just how great these little factory sights are. Now, what sucks about them is they're not night sights, and if you want, you can buy Glock 19 with night sights from Glock the way it is out of the box. You can buy the MOS where they give you the cut for the Trigicon RMR if you want to run like a red dot system. They're just really cool guns. They're almost like the Toyota Corolla of the gun world. They're just everywhere. They're very cheap. They're very reliable, you know? And yeah, you know, they got a bit of, you got you know, the trigger creep is something that people complain about. Now, my Glock 17 has a custom Zev trigger in it, which is, you know, significantly lighter than this one. So when I went back to the range shooting this thing for the first time, it did have a different angle and has a different feel. But, you know, people complain about the creep. I don't know. I don't see it. That's a stock trigger. It's stock trigger on a Glock is fine. I know a lot of people love to complain about them. Now, that being said, I did buy a different trigger for this one because I wanted to try that 1911 flat style. And that really doesn't really have anything to do with the trigger action. It's just more the shape of the trigger, right? And I do own a 1911, and I do like that, that straight, positive pullback on it. And I think the angle here is nice because that is kind of where your safety is. Now on a Glock, you don't have any secondary safeties like you would on like a Beretta 92 or anything like that, or like a 1911, you'll have it right here. This one, the trigger has a secondary little pad It's kind of hard to show in this light, but it's got a little pad in there. So that pad has to be completely pressed in for the trigger to go off, right? If that pad isn't pushed down, the trigger does not operate. Now you may say, well, everybody who's going to hold on to this thing and put their finger on the trigger is going to release. Now, that's not the idea of this safety. The idea of this safety is more if you drop the gun. It's a safe gun. In other words, if you for drop tests and things like that. It's not going to go off just because, you put a little extra impact back here. As long as it's a factory Glock, it is not going to give you any problems. I could tell you that. There's a couple keys, though, that you need to know if you're going to be a new Glock owner. For example, number one, these guns out of the box, you should lubricate them yourself a little bit, take them apart and do that right out of the gate, because the factory Glocks don't really have much lubrication, if any at all. So when you're doing that, that would be the first thing I recommend you do with one of these. To take them down is quite easy. So first thing you do is you make sure the trigger pointed in a safe location, pull the trigger, right? Then you're gonna make sure you pull just a little tiny bit of pressure. You're gonna see this little jimping right here on this pad. So the idea is they're on both sides. You pull that straight back as you're pulling your frame back. Slide unlocks forward. Pull the slide out. Here's your frame with your trigger and everything. Take out your little spring guide rod here. And guys, stop running freaking steel guided rods. They're stupid. That's just my opinion. There's your slide. Barrel just kind of slides out from this piece, and you've got a field stripped Glock. Now you can go a little further. Take down these pins right here. Pull the trigger out, and you can get the whole trigger mechanism out with this block right here. And you can kind of do that when you do like a nice full clean and everything, which I will end up doing. I haven't quite done that yet because I am going to actually do some upgrades to this one already. I'm going to do an extended mag release. That is my biggest complaint with this gun. Even with my hands the way they are, and you got your thumb rest area right here, which is kind of nice. It helps you kind of index the gun really well. Although when I hold the gun, I usually, I'm a lot higher up. So I kind of use that as the pad right here, right? But if you do it one-handed, you got this. And the idea is you can just hit this release very easily by just dropping your thumb. The problem is, in order for you to release, here, let's empty mag. Let's put this guy in here. In order for you to actually release it, you have to put and you can see how much pressure you have to pull out by how much this moves out, about that much. And then now it's coming out, right? So if you're in a shooting position, and then I go over here, you can see with no hand adjustment, that's about as much pressure as I could put on that guy. So I would have to kind of twist the gun, push down, release the mag, grab the other one, and then, adjust my grip again. So I like the idea of being able to just tip the hand and then do that and do all that much quicker. Not to get too technical in it. So I got an extended mag release that I will be adding on here. I did add an extended one of these too to my list. I have those parts here. I also did an extended slide lock release, and these are actually kind of the same principle. Let's reassemble this thing while we got it here. If you're doing this, make sure this is facing up. And then you're gonna see it you can put all the way forward, and you can see when it returns to battery, it'll kind of fall into that little ledge right there. So once you have it down in that ledge, you have it in the correct position, then this little tip here will go into this little kind of chamfered hole right here. This little back area will rest not at the top ledge, but all the way at the bottom. So when you do it, I'm gonna kind of just put that in there and just make sure you have it centered. And there you go. You're gonna know when it's locked into place. It's gonna have no wiggle. Now, you got your slide back together. So, how do you mate the two? So this is kind of one of those things. It's easy, but it's easy to mess up. So let's explain the mechanics of it first. Is you got your little slide rails right here. Not the whole thing is a rail. They just put this little tab right here and this little tab right here, and you got the same going on the other side. So what you do is you look right here. There's your train tracks, is what I like to call them, you know? And there is, you could see a ledge on both sides. So you're gonna kind of start right here, back here, you know? And you're just gonna make sure that when you do this, that you are indeed in the correct position, because if you do it wrong, it's gonna suck. You're gonna see this right here, your little ejector. So that, make sure you don't ram it into there too hard. Everything will line up. You don't have to force it. Now you look like you're done, but you're not. Okay? We give it a good rack. Now it's locked into place. Do a little trigger check, function check. Feels good. All right, we're good to go. All right, so the Glock 19, absolutely love it. Can't wait to basically do a little bit more reviewing as we build this thing up. And yeah, stay posted for more gun content review. I'll do some stuff at the range probably, and I'll do some tabletop stuff as well. Probably, you know, do a couple little build videos, and well, I mean, shoot, let's bring out the monster, and then I'll do a full video on this guy too. This is a little bit of a different animal. If you guys follow my YouTube or my Instagram, I think I've posted a couple pictures of this guy. Here's your Trigicon RMR co-witness 3.5 MOA with a full ZEV tech setup. ZEV barrel, threaded, custom trigger. And this is what I was talking about, extended mag release here. You can see right when you grip this gun, I'm right there on it, and you can see how much positive release you get on that guy. This is a Glock 17, so for size comparisons, you can see it's a little bit smaller. But when you actually grip it in the hand, you can see when you hold it high up, this gun in the hand versus this one, you can see it's considerably shorter in both dimensions there. So kind of cool. Love the 19. I think it's probably the most popular of all the Glock models. It shoots a 9mm round. You know, I know people love Glock 40s and they love to run like 10mm ammo or 45s and these things. And you can get them in all kinds of different variations, different frame sizes and different calibers. You can find the Glock that suits you best. In my case, I like 9mm. That's kind of like my, I don't know, that's my round of choice, I guess you could say. I think that's kind of like the round that, you know, is best suited for well-placed rounds versus, you know, just trying to shoot big holes in everything, right? So, yeah, fun stuff, guys. I guess, yeah, love you guys. And this is the Watch and Cut channel and gear review out.